All right, so we're talking today about preparing a budget. And why is creating a budget so beneficial? Well, creating a budget allows you to have a spending plan for your money. That way you don't necessarily, you don't spend money maybe that you don't have. You don't run out of money at the end of the month or the end of the pay period or whatever like that. And it allows you to kind of keep track of where your money's going and have an idea of where there may be areas to save, where you may need to spend more, things like that. So one of the things you want to do is you want to set out a percentage for everything. You got to have an idea of what all your expenses are. So you would actually go and you would list all the things that you absolutely have to spend on, the bills that are going to come due, things like that. And then you can go back and you can see how much money you have coming in, about what percentage you're going to end up needing, and then hopefully you're always also going to set stuff aside to save some. All right, always make sure that the total monthly expenses are less than the monthly income, and that there's at least a 10% savings rate. Now this is the net monthly income. This is after taxes and things like that. The fact that you can make a budget under your gross income, which is the income before taxes, doesn't really help when they take taxes out and you've got less money than you thought you did. And a 10% savings rate is a good thing. That means you're going to be able to have some money in case of emergency and things like that. All right, so let's look at an example. Josie planned this budget on her weekly average take-home pay of $1,536. Her housing was 30%, her food was 18%, transportation 10%, gifts 10%, savings 10%, clothes 7%, entertainment 6%, insurance 5%, and miscellaneous 4%. How much should she budget for each category? So here all we're going to do, and you can see it right here, but I'm just going to go ahead and write it out for the first couple here. If you're doing 30%, that means you're going to do the 1536 times, and remember you're going to take that 30%, you're going to convert it to a decimal, so 0.30. And then that's where you get the $460.80. Same thing with the food, transportation, etc., etc. Now, one thing that I've noticed that some of you guys are doing that we need to talk about, you're having trouble with the single percentages. Like this one, the clothes, she was saving, or she was setting aside 7%. That is not 0.7. Remember, you got to move that decimal place 2 places over to the left, so it was 0.07. So it's only $107.52. If you only move it 1 decimal place, you're now actually calculating 70% of the income, and that would have been $1,075.20. So you got to be real careful and make sure you move that decimal place enough to know what you're doing to get the correct answer. All right, and you can look at this. This is all on the Read It part of PLP if you want to go back and look at it. All right, example 2, Hunter's bi-monthly net income is $1,455. Remember, bi-monthly means twice a month. He is starting to prepare a monthly budget. If his rent is $850 per month, what percentage of his monthly budget will be allocated for rent? Now, to find the percentage, you're going to take the amount, this 850, you're going to divide it by the total. So 1455. Now you're going to notice that when you divide this, it's going to give you a decimal. Well, that's what we're expecting. We want a decimal, and then we will convert it over to the percentage. Now, one thing you got to do here, he's getting bi-monthly, so that's this thing, and I wrote down $1,455. That was wrong. He's going to pay this per month, and he's going to get this twice a month. So we actually need to do the 1455 times 2. And that's going to be 2910. And then we're going to do the division, 850 divided by 2910. And that's going to give us 0.2920962. And we're just going to kind of round that. You can do it as 29.2%, but it's a lot easier to just go ahead and calculate that, estimate it up a little bit to 30%. You don't want to round down, but you can always round up. So he should allocate about 30% of his budget for rent. That way he'll make sure he has enough. And he'll even have a little bit of extra room there. So he'll actually have more money. And see, that's also another way that you can save some money, as long as you don't go, and if you stick by your budget, now you've got 0.8% that wasn't spent, and it can stay in your bank account, and it's added to savings as well. So that's pretty much the two different ways that you can do the things for a budget. You're either going to find out what percentage you need, or you're going to take the percentage and find out how much money you actually need. Once again, be careful. Remember that bi-monthly means you're going to get paid 2 times a month. Weekly, notice that she budgeted weekly here, and these were the weekly percentages, and they were asking about the percentages for the week. If it's monthly, remember you'd have to take and weekly take-home pay. They're probably not going to, because of the whole situation that some months you have 5 weeks, some months you have 4 weeks. And there are even some months where you're only able to have 3 paychecks in some cases, or might have 3 paychecks in some cases. So they're typically not going to take a weekly thing and do that. Remember, there are 52 weeks in a year, and we're assuming that even if she takes vacation, she's going to get paid for it, or he, whoever it is. So 52 weeks in a year, paid bi-monthly means twice a month. And other than that, the percentages are pretty standard. You just go back and forth. Preparing a budget and sticking to it can really help you avoid overspending, and it can also help you save money. The budget allows you to see where your money is going each month, because believe me, it is easy to get to the end of the month and not have any idea where that money went. It's a good idea to keep up with it and try to stick to it as much as possible, so you know that you're not just wasting money on things that you're not really getting anything out of. Some portions of the budget can be modified, such as categories like entertainment and savings. Other categories, such as mortgage, cannot be modified. Those are going to be pretty standard unless you were to move or refinance your home. So those are things that are kind of set in stone month to month, but you can, as you know expenses are coming up, you can reallocate things in the budget part that's modifiable. That's not the standard, this is what you're going to pay. All right, what are possible categories for personal budget? Well, pretty much all that stuff, isn't it? All right, that's all there is to this section, and this section is not going to have a test. It's a kind of a freestanding section. The quiz is going to be all that you're going to have for this section and this unit.